Welcome to Fleet News Group podcast, where we talk about all things fleet and in particular moves to make transport more sustainable. I'm Caroline Falls, and today I'm at General Motors Business Briefing in Melbourne, and I've secured a one-on-one interview with Jess Bala, the new Managing Director for GM Australia and NZ. Welcome, Jess, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, let's talk about why we're here today in Melbourne to launch the Cadillac brand in Australia with the Lyriq model. Did I say that properly? Lyriq. An electric SUV. This is a very exciting development for GM and for Australia. And so firstly, tell us a bit more about the specs of the vehicle and why bringing it down under is important to GM.
Yeah, so from a spec standpoint, we're not sharing any details today, but very excited that we're here to announce the launch of the Cadillac brand for Australia and New Zealand, and with our new portfolio being led by the Lyriq. So the Cadillac brand globally is going through a very big transformation right now to an all EV portfolio, which we will achieve by the end of the decade in 2030. And when you look at what is happening in Australia and New Zealand from an EV transformation standpoint and how tech savvy our customers are, it just feels like the perfect time to introduce the Cadillac brand and bring this next generation of EV vehicles down under into New Zealand.
So the thing is that came up in a presentation earlier is that it's going to be a factory-built right-hand drive compared with, you know, the rare Cadillac sighting that you might currently see in Australia that's got here through the so-called grey market, where an individual has brought it in and had it converted from left-hand drive. And so I think this is the first time GM has factory-built right-hand drive since quitting Australia in 2017. Is that right?
I would say for Australia and New Zealand. So GM has got other brands that have some right-hand drive in other markets, but here in Australia and New Zealand, it is we are, I wouldn't even say re-entering. We have GM SV here already with Silverado and Corvette, and we just announced that we're bringing the Yukon Denali from GMC down under into to New Zealand as well. We announced that last week through our GM SV dealers. What's unique here about Cadillac is, you're right, it will be factory-built, purpose-built right-hand drive, and I think what that really shows is GM's commitment to our market and right-hand drive, that we were part of the plan from day zero. It wasn't that we were added in later on. We had always been part of the plan for these new EVs and the global expansion of Cadillac overall to the market here.
So I was also curious about how the Lyriq will be marketed and sold here, and who do you expect to sell to, the private luxury market, or could it fit into any fleet market that you have identified?
So we're going to market it, we're going after a true luxury customer experience. So that's an end-to-end customer experience from the moment you either enter your details into our online website or walk into one of our Cadillac experience centres, the whole way through the process, whether it be through test drives, buying the vehicle, post-purchase, and through the after-sales, through the entire life of the vehicle. So there's going to be a true luxury experience associated with that. And from a customer standpoint, we're really targeting and going after the existing European luxury brands here. We see our Lyriq as directly competing with those brands. And from a fleet standpoint, specifically, we're not sharing any specific customer details, but would expect that there would be some fleets that would be after, companies that are moving to an EV future themselves and see a luxury entry in their space. We see the Lyriq fitting in there very well.
Who isn't moving to an EV future?
Exactly why we're coming in now. That's exactly right.
Cadillac is working on some fleet options in some of the other markets too. So it is part of the Cadillac sort of business to look at unique fleet opportunities.
Oh, thanks for that comment, Lauren. So GM has a history going back about a decade of producing sustainability reports, and the latest one was last year in 2022. It spells out big commitments, including eliminating tailpipe emissions from its lineup of light-duty vehicles, by 2035. What are some of the other big commitments GM is making?
Yeah, I mean, we've made some commitments around just obviously moving to an all-electric future across all the brands globally. And so as a company, we're very much committed to that. We have plans for all of the GM brands, obviously outside of Australia, as well to convert. And you've seen a very steady release, I guess, an announcement of EV vehicles from GM globally over the last 2 years or so, and that will only increase as time goes on as well.
Jess, you only took up this role as Managing Director in Australia in September. You are Australian, and now you have come home after years in the US, where you were lately Global Head of Planning and Strategy at GM's Cadillac unit. You played a leading role in developing the Lyriq and in helping transition the brand to all electric. Bringing the Cadillac EV to Australia and your appointment seems to portend the significant focus GM is placing on sustainability. Can you add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one, it's always amazing to come home. Australia will always be my home, even though I spent the last 10 years over in Michigan with GM. And, I started my career at GM back in 2007 here in Melbourne at Holden. So I have a lot of history and passion for the market here. And I think, bringing, my experience with Cadillac over the last 2 years before returning home, I think has made me even more excited with what we're about to do here. I couldn't be more excited when the vehicle downstairs arrived at our office about 2 weeks ago, and the rest of the team got to see that and just see how amazing it is. And I can't wait for it to be out on the roads and just have people's reaction, because I just have no doubt in my mind that it's just going to blow people away. And it's just such a beautifully developed car, and there are so many Australians that have had a hand in this car that are just as excited and proud as I am. And from a EV standpoint and where the company's heading and technology, I think all employees are very excited with what's to come as well.
Are you able to tell us if GM will be bringing in any of its other EV brands, like the Escalade or the Optiq?
So we're not sharing any more specifics other than Lyriq today. We are, obviously, it's not just the Lyriq. We will have other entries coming, but can't share what those will be at this point.
In 2017, which we've alluded to, GM Holden shut its factory in South Australia, ending an almost 100-year history of building vehicles here and breaking a lot of hearts. Since then, the mark has suffered down under, and the Holden brand, so beloved, was axed. So not only that, GM stopped producing the right-hand drive passenger vehicles. So this is an amazing development, and I wonder if GM is also planning to bring the Cadillac to the UK, where I understand it's also falling in love with the SUVs. And what about Japan, the other big right-hand drive market?
Yes, I'm not in a position to comment on other markets, but I can tell you that John and the team are regularly assessing what opportunities we have as a brand globally.
Well, that's all the time I've been allotted today. So I want to thank you very much, Jess, and also for your contribution, Lauren, Head of Communications from the US.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming. We hope you enjoyed looking at the vehicle.
Earlier in the day, John Roth, GM's Vice President Global Cadillac, announced the launch of the brand in Australia and New Zealand, and he talked about the history of it. Here's a part of what he had to say.
Thank you for joining us today. Here with me today we have John Roth, our Vice President of Global Cadillac, Jess Bala, our GM Australia and New Zealand Managing Director, and Ernesto Ortiz is our Managing Director of GM Strategic Markets, which includes Australia and New Zealand. And now we'll jump into a quick panel discussion. We'll have some questions that I'll ask them, and they'll provide some answers. And then, like I said, we'll have your questions and interviews. So John, I think to start, I think we might all know, but why are we here today? What's brought you to Australia?
It's a really good question. So we're super excited to announce the global expansion of our EV portfolio and of course right-hand drive to the lineup. It's a really exciting time here at Cadillac to be with all of you today. Cadillac really has been the lead brand for General Motors for many, many years and really champions many firsts for the company, including the Ultium platform, which you're going to hear more about from Ernesto here in a few minutes. But more so, as we lead General Motors, we also align around our vision of zero congestion, zero emissions, and zero collisions, and Cadillac is at the forefront of that. Lyriq, as you see here, really is the ultimate expression of our design, technology, and really overall ride and handling. Fantastic vehicle when you get a chance to get behind the wheel. And we really like to think about Cadillac existing to champion those big dreams and bold ambitions that all our customers have around the globe. And to bring this vehicle to Australia and New Zealand is just a huge opportunity, and super excited about being here today with all of you. Yeah, so, it's a brand, like I said, with a lot of history, 120 plus years now worth of time in the marketplace. And just, it's really become a centerpiece of pop culture. You see Cadillac being said many, many times in movies, in TV, in music. It shows up in many, many places. And for me, 30 years plus with the company, and more than half of that with the Cadillac brand, and to lead this portfolio now and to be able to bring it to the globe, it's an amazing time. But it's also an opportunity for us to lead the transformation of the auto industry as a whole. We've had a lot of change in auto throughout the years, and for Cadillac to take that front row seat to make that all happen is just fantastic. So really looking forward to those extraordinary moments that all our customers are going to have here in Australia and New Zealand with the brand.
Awesome, I love that. And you talked about it being such an iconic brand, and it does have such a rich history. So where, what can we expect to see from Cadillac as we go forward?
Yeah, so we've been on this journey. It's really almost a personal renaissance. Many of us have gone through that kind of change. Cadillac as a brand over the last 10 or so years has really gone through that kind of renaissance. And coming out of that are vehicles that are purpose-built, that are right-hand drive from the start, from a thought process standpoint. And so it's really putting, Cadillac in a position to offer that all-electric portfolio by the end of the decade. And, I couldn't think of a better time to be with the brand because of the growth we're experiencing around the globe. We're in markets like the Middle East, we're in Korea, we're in North America, and now we're here in Australia and New Zealand to bring these fantastic vehicles to life in this marketplace. And, it's really an opportunity to add scale and growth, because you can't really be a tier one luxury provider, right there at the top of luxury without a right-hand drive vehicle. So just a great opportunity, again, to be with all of you and really be a part of Jess's team today. So thank you all.
You've been listening to Fleet News Group podcast. It was edited and produced by Isabella Fiorentino. You can follow us on Spotify. Just search for Fleet News Group. We're also on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. Our website is fleetnewsgroup.com, where you can get all of our stories, videos and podcasts. Until next time, drive safely and take care.